If you don't think if you don't think the erosion of the Trump base is happening, think again. I'll show you some evidence.
We used to call this Trump Row because everybody on this block had Trump flags. This house is for sale. This is Trump Row. All of these houses had Trump signs up. That house is for sale. Trump Row. That house is for sale.
Wow.
This is Trump Row. 3 out of the 10 houses on Trump Row.
The amount of people that are flipping on the administration right now is crazy. The approval ratings have plummeted, like everything. And I'm not saying that nobody supports this whole movement, nobody supports MAGA, but a lot of these people, according to this video, are fed up. And even people selling their homes in certain situations because of their financial situation, right? You got layoffs, you got cost of living, many things under the sun, which is causing this effect. But it's crazy and it continues to get worse. Seems like every single day.
We used to call this.
So as I was saying off my last video, this is no mystery why Trump's losing support and why even the parts of the GOP are breaking off from him. Because the reality is, and a large number of independents, the independents are technically gone for them. But now I'm talking as some of the voters. I don't know about the politicians. There's some breaking from him a little bit, but you're seeing like people taking down their flags, selling their property. And if you notice, a lot of people that support him don't talk about him anymore. They're very silent. Because he's done such a monumentally terrible job as president. And it's obvious. And again, the mistake the Republican Party made was they built their party on a cult. Because they wanted to continue to be relevant. Because at the end of the day, without Trump, they really weren't gaining a lot of election victories. It was kind of like to the point where Trump was kind of like the character. He was like the charismatic leader for their party, like Obama was for the Democratic Party. But Trump is turning out Republicans in larger numbers when he's on the ballot. But a lot of people supported Trump just supported Trump too. They weren't necessarily Republicans. Like I said, the Republican Party does not really impress anybody. They're not popular, much less than the Democratic Party. So I mean, just the party apparatus itself, neither party is really popular among the American electorate. But the Republican Party effectively built its brand on Trump because they thought that was going to help them. But they built their brand on a very flawed human being. And it's costing them dearly now. Because this guy's doing such damage to the country, it's hurting the whole party down the ticket. So a lot of people know he's not running for re-election. They've already given up on him. People are effectively done with him now. They realize he didn't keep the promises they wanted kept. And he went too far on things that they thought he was just going to fix. So their quality of life's getting worse, though, as a result. And the thing is, the GOP has to own all that now. Because a lot of them are still going to run for other elections. Donald Trump's done. He's going to do whatever the heck he wants now. He's on his way out. I mean, plus he's 80 years old. And you see his health failing. But the Democrats had a similar phenomenon with Biden and Obama. Obama, because he was the charismatic leader at the top, it turned out Democrats. But the Democratic Party didn't have much of a platform beyond Obama. And that was their problem for so long. And without Obama in the picture, they effectively collapsed for a while. So, the term we heard over the decade, over a decade ago when the Democrats were losing, is they lost over 1,000 legislative seats under Obama's leadership. And that was true. They lost a lot of elections. Because in off-year elections, like I said, the low-propensity voters were Democrats. They weren't turning out the same numbers for Democrats without Obama on the ballot. So the Democrats were losing ground. So when they had to run elections without Obama, they were losing. So the GOP, on the other hand, was winning the off-year elections during that time. Because a lot of voters just with Obama, though, just became disenfranchised and disappointed. They didn't see anything change. They were still waiting for that hope and change. It never happened. But disenchantment and anger are two different things. With Trump, it's going to be far worse for the Republican Party. They're going to get a monumental wipeout. Like, this party's going to lose so many seats just because the American electorate is so angry with them. That's going to take a long time for them to build back. All right. It's going to be far worse than it was for the Democrats with Obama. Because Trump actually made people's lives worse. People have the perception Obama didn't do enough to make their life better. Small numbers of the population thought he made their life worse. But majority of the public didn't necessarily feel that way about Obama overall. They were just, the status quo is not changing, whatever. I'm not really excited. I like the guy as a person, but I'm not excited about anything else. With Trump, people are just disgusted and angry. The anger is so real against Trump right now and the GOP. So, yet alone Trump's a liability for them, but yet alone when Trump's out of the picture, they're not going to be able to hold the coalition together because Trump was the energy that kept them going. But again, this is why I say politicians should never build their party apparatus on one person. Because people are flawed. People go out of style after a while. People don't stay relevant forever. Trends change. You build your platform on a cohesive movement that appeals to the populace. And you fight for that agenda every day. And you have a platform that represents something that has value to people. That is how you build a strong political party. Okay? And like I said, we, at the end of the day, want a country that has two healthy parties and a thriving democracy. Because whether we like it or not, there will be two political parties. I would love to see more political parties, honestly, but we have two. But if we're stuck with those two choices, don't we want them to be better than what they are? You know, think about that for a second. Don't you want both parties to be better than they are? Aren't we all disappointed with the status quo all the time? Yeah, we are. So, at the end of the day, both parties are going to exist regardless. We want them to be better. All right? And we want to discourage this cult of personality movement. Get rid of it. It's toxic. And the GOP in this coming year will wake up to that reality. They're going to get wiped out because they tied their fate to one man. And they did not care about perception or their misdeeds and how they would discuss the American public. And they don't care. And they're not doing anything to make the country better. So they deserve to face the wipeout they're going to face because they need to be told by the American electorate, this is not acceptable. We need to vote you out of office. And they need that because in order for a party to wake up, they have to face massive electoral losses, or they can continue on the destructive path that they're on, which is going to make nobody's life better. And that's the reality. That's all I want to say in this video. See y'all later. Have a great day. Have a great night. Love y'all. Bye.